So, Ethan, you are in Fort Myers after Hurricane Ian. What are you seeing there on the ground?
We're seeing really devastation in some places. When you're talking about Fort Myers Beach, it is catastrophic. I mean, there are homes that literally used to stand on this cement slab. Now all that's left is this cement slab. It's horrific damage and destruction there. Similar areas around here, Pine Island, Sanibel Island, those are very, very hard hit. And then inside Fort Myers, the damage is hit or miss, honestly. There are lots of houses with a lot of tree damage, trees down everywhere, some power lines down, shingles and roofing off of some houses. But the major issue now, I think, for the vast majority of people, and I think it's down to about 300,000 people now without power around the Fort Myers area. That is the biggest issue because now the Florida sun is beating down and it's making life difficult.
Well, and now you're talking about going days without power. This has now been stretching on for days. And I know that you're out there with Convoy of Hope and that you guys are providing resources. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think just before you answer, a lot of people who haven't gone through this might not realize that the basics are often not available to people.
Yeah, it's tough after a hurricane. First off, you have the hurricane that just lasts so long. It's pounding on your house. You're sitting in your house waiting for it to stop. It goes on for hours. You're wondering when the roof is going to rip off. So that's the trauma to start with. And then you realize you made it. You look at the damage, and then day after day, you go with no power, and you're running out of food that you had saved in your kitchen. You had some bottles of water in your garage that you've been saving for this event. Now you're running out of those. You don't have running water that you can drink now without boiling. So it becomes a bigger problem. So what Convoy of Hope is able to hand out now is water, sports drinks, food, groceries, hygiene kits for people who need them, baby supplies for young parents who are running out of baby supplies, and ice, which is a huge commodity right now for people. They can't find ice anywhere around Fort Myers. Convoy of Hope has ice we're able to give them. They can put in their coolers just to keep some of their food cool.
I mean, again, those are the basics, the things that we take for granted every day that you can walk over to your refrigerator or your freezer and get those things. You're not able to do that in the wake of a hurricane. And when you're talking about days of not having those resources, thank goodness you guys are there at Convoy of Hope doing this work. So what is it like, as a human being coming into this? You're there, you're doing the relief work, you're meeting the people who are facing this, but you're witnessing some very devastating situations. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think for our team and for me personally, it's the highs and the lows of this trip. Obviously, the lows are seeing the devastation, people dealing with houses that are now gone. They have to start from scratch. They've lost everything. There are many people who have lost loved ones in this horrifying storm. That is something your heart just breaks, and you do the best that you can to put an arm around them, to offer a prayer, to say whatever the Lord leads you to say, to give them hope that things will get better. It's a tough situation. Those are the lows of what we see, and our team is very well versed at handling that, dealing with it from catastrophe to catastrophe where we go. And then the highs are, on this church parking lot, we've had hundreds of volunteers from the community, other people from Fort Myers and other parts of Florida coming in, seeing our need for volunteers and helping because they want to do what they can to help their neighbor. Perhaps their house was spared and they thought, man, that could have been me, but by the grace of God, right? So they're here helping out, handing out supplies to their neighbor, offering a prayer, offering an arm around their shoulder, and just some encouragement that tomorrow is going to be a better day.
What has been for you the most, because you just mentioned those highs, in the midst of this, what has been the most heartwarming moment for you since you've gotten there?
It's the volunteers. I've talked to several volunteers who are out there. They have such great attitudes. They're so willing to spend a day out on a blacktop parking lot with the sun beating down, spend 5 or 6 hours handing out supplies, putting cases of water into the back of a trunk, waving people through the distribution line that we have snaking through this big parking lot, coming in early and helping us fill bags, grocery bags with the supplies that we'll be handing out later that day. The volunteers have really been over the top. Many of them from the First Assembly of God, the church parking lot that we're on here in Fort Myers. Many others coming in from different parts of the city. We did a Facebook Live earlier, and people were asking me, where can I come and join you to volunteer and to be part of this effort? So that's always incredibly heartwarming to see. And I think maybe more so in this disaster than other ones that I've been to.
So a lot of people, a lot of people who are watching this right now, they're probably wondering, how can I help out, right? They might not be in Florida, but they want to be involved in some way to provide relief. What's the best way for them to do that?
Well, I would say the number one thing that we need and that we would ask for is prayer. We just ask that you would pray for our team, our disaster services team, give them strength as they're out here day after day, loading, leading these distributions, going to Pine Island where the bridge is cut off, sending a boat out with supplies, favor in dealing with communities, getting to the people we need, all of that we need, wisdom, just in handling this situation as wisely as we can. So that's always number one. Number two, I would say, if you can, donate. Convoy of Hope you can check us out on Charity Navigator. We're a highest rated 4 out of 4-star charity for the last 18 straight years. When it comes to financial integrity, it's something we take very seriously and work hard on. So we would ask that you just make a donation if you can, because what we're able to do through our great corporate relationships is to take your $1 and stretch it at least 5 times further and get the supply to where it's needed. So that's number two. And then the third thing would be to advocate. That doesn't cost anybody anything. Everybody's on social media these days. Convoy of Hope is on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Just go there, follow Convoy of Hope, like our stuff, share it, and that'd be a great way to just spread the news of what we're doing.
Well, listen, I so appreciate your time, and we will be checking back in with you again very soon. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, thanks, Billy. Appreciate it very much. Glad we got this.